Your Excellency, Mr. Jaroslav Dolecek, it is a pleasure having you on our program. First of all, could I ask you to introduce yourself to us, please?
Yes, it's my pleasure to be here with you, lecturer. And my name is Jaroslav Dolecek. I am the Czech ambassador to Myanmar.
4-year term is a challenge for any government to make all the changes and reforms speed of your transition to democracy and the rule of law. We graduated from an international aid recipient to a respected member of the donor community, but it took us 20 years of intensive work.
You mentioned greatest weapons of diplomacy. It's, in my opinion, talking about these weapons or these tools, I think the most important is cooperation, a search for maybe win-win situation or common interest. And what I want really to recommend to everybody, it's all these critics, without any recommendation what to do, how to do, just to come to this country. And to stay here as a diplomat and tourist, whoever, businessman, and to try to understand that here in this country, it's nothing black and white. It means that the complexity is so visible that and all people in Myanmar.
You made a very good point about people coming into this country and having a closer observation of the things that are happening around here. There seems to be a sort of helplessness, media-wise, to counter what is happening. So what's your opinion, please?
You know very well, you belong to media. That media has a power, quite significant power. How to minimally to influence the people understanding, either domestically or internationally. Another issue is that somehow the readers or recipients of the news from media, they rather seek bad news and then good news. It's another issue. It means the Czech Republic as well as Myanmar is still in transition. So it means the media also are in transition. Every country in the world needs confident and open media, for sure. I would add probably, personally, objective, independent and professional media. And the most important, last but not least, that media should present the truth.
Exactly.
It was after a long 53 years, the first high-level visit from the Myanmar side. I would like to call this first visit to Europe after June 2017 as a friendly visit, based on the genuine long-term friendship between our peoples. It was no coincidence that Her Excellency's stay in Prague started with the laying of flowers at the grave of our former President Václav Havel, who was such a close friend and supporter of Her Excellency Aung San Suu Kyi. Other notable highlights of the visit were the official reception by our President, Prime Minister and other high representatives, and a very successful business forum, her memorable speech and the receiving of the historical medal at Charles University, and the opening of photo exhibition called Beauties of Myanmar, and lastly, but not least, the opening of the Myanmar Embassy in Prague. At multinational levels, the Czech Republic as an EU member country would like to serve as a bridge between the European Union and both Myanmar and the region in order to bring about a better understanding of each other. I'm very proud to say that in terms of efforts for better education, Myanmar has supporters from the EU and its member states, which includes the Czech Republic, who have already contributed 220 million euros to education reforms in Myanmar. To me, the Myanmar people are the greatest asset of your country.
Ambassador, I have to come to my last question because I know you are saying your goodbyes around Naypyidaw, and you mentioned somewhere that your country has transitioned. It's taken 20 years for the country to transition from an aid recipient to join the aid donor community.
Let's start with the lessons learned and messages. That's the first message is that changes can't be done overnight, and it's just and is still in transition, even after 30 years. And you know very well, recently I read in newspapers that your presidential office presented comparisons in how successful various countries around the world were or have been in transition. Some failed, and many of them it took long decades. And imagine you are just at the beginning, let me say after 10 years or 5 years. And it means that, and also the message is not to be relaxed and happy, that everything
keep working hard.
Yes.
And be patient.
Exactly, and step by step. And it means that really to be patient. To be patient. How people are. And then us. What to say about us? Okay, there are two elements, main elements, why we change from the recipient country to the donor country. First is economic growth. Somehow you need economic growth. You need to accumulate sources, either from international aid, we also received decades ago, or maybe 10-20 years ago, and then investment. Your country also desperately needs investment for this. It's coming. That's also the second important moment. Because from these funds you could provide, you could donate thanks to these funds. The second factor is that we became 2004. We became a member of the European Union, also OECD, and they give us some guidance and also best practices, how to proceed, and also how to be a responsible donor. It's also very important. And in your case, everybody knows that except for the biggest asset, I believe, is the people. Second biggest is your natural resources.
Yes.
But also in terms of natural resources, it comes responsibility. How you use them, how you distribute them, and you know very well that maybe one of the issues among the ethnics and this never-lasting civil war is the natural resources and sort of business and economy around. It means this is also an issue. And in this context, if this happens, you can achieve all kind of goals you can imagine. But for me, another lesson learned is probably the most crucial, and this is we somehow set our mindsets within the past and decades back. It is most difficult to change our mindsets. And I mentioned recently, it's for all of us. It's in my country, in your country, and it was well the revolution. I was 33 years old. We also some grew up in some environment like you, like many others. And but we have young generation and people. You have new education reforms on the way.
That's right.
That's correct. And that means that everything together, it means that you definitely will successfully pass the most difficult test. It's on the way to peace, harmony, stability.
I've got to end on that note because it is good. So, Your Excellency, Mr. Jaroslav Dolecek, thank you so much for your time, for your patience, and bon voyage, and we look forward to meeting you again.
Thank you very much.